Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to where I was about ready to say, welcome back to another installment in the series, sort of loosely known as It Came from the Livestream, because the vehicle that's going to be resting here on Susan momentarily was indeed built virtually in its entirety. I had to fix the electronics and cut the body. Everything else was done. In the live stream of July 11th, 2025. If you want to go see that process, which is nonsensical in the side tracks that we take, otherwise you'll see most of what you need here. So, to make things, to increase clarity and manage confusion, we've got to keep a little bit of confusion in there. This will just be, it came from the Workbench Vol.60. It came from the Workbench Vol.60, which is also, it came from the live stream, I want to say number 9. But this guy was built as a Class 2. This guy will be going into Class 2 operation here. This is a Kitt Crawlers, K-I-T-T, like the vehicle with Michael Knight. Kitt Crawlers KKV1, built the Canyon way. And what is the Canyon way of building it, do you ask? Well, when the gentleman at Kitt Crawlers was kind enough to send this chassis in some months ago, he sent an email saying that he built it with this gearbox in mind and these axles and this and that. And then you fast forward a few months later and you remember none of it. So you dig through the bins and you source out the pieces and the parts that you think will combine together to assemble what you need. Mias nylon portals with a Reef Raw 500 servo on axle configuration. Rhino V80 80 amp ESC, driving a Furatech Dynamic 380 2000 kV, the little tiny bullet of a guy. Look at that little guy down in there. J Concepts Creep, as you can see, it's got the little prongies on the bed, the printed bed to fit. The kit also came with a blank skid to fit whatever gearbox I would like. Laziness prevailed, and the hole pattern on the bottom of the skid that came with this arguably weird but really quite well-fitting gearbox. There's not a lot going on in there. Also, you'll note because of the angle of the skid, when we're sitting on a flat surface, it looks like we're going up like that. We do not aroop. I rescind what I said mere moments ago where I said everything was done during the live stream. I assembled these wheels somewhat recently. I had to go black and silver. I wonder why I had to go black and silver. Brand new, fresh out of the bags, very tacky J Concepts tusks, fitted with inserts that are potentially too soft. But if there's a place to head out with an insert that's too soft and might not be the absolute jam, I feel like a ghost ride is that. And that is what we're doing right about now. So, how dare you? Thumbnut escape. So, I did not use the included, this guy. It came with 2 bumpers, was the second one, in the kit. One with a fair lead and one without. I don't think me and a 3D printed bumper would cooperate. I tend to break a lot of 3D printed things. It also has a battery this is definitely a battery tray. Has a battery tray which is supposed to mount these 2 holes. You can see. My choices prevented that from happening because I didn't want to wrestle with it. So this is a weird Amazon/AliExpress gearbox, which is vertical. It's basically like any of those low-profile gearboxes that you would see in any of those various places, but turned on its side. So we thought, well, if we're going to put the motor up high, and I mean, the motor's not really very high, when it is sitting at ride height, we've got the motor is about parallel to the top of the servo. I nevertheless thought, probably not an application to throw a fusion at. Let's not put a big block of weight up as high as we can get it. So I took one of the smaller, lighter Outrunners. I contemplated a Secure 3625 1800, the little flat pancake. But I do like the clearance that this has because the drive shaft comes out directly beneath it. It's not even done, actually. I said that we had finished, and we definitely haven't. I neglected to put on a little chunk of industrial Velcro because that is all that we are going to use to affix the battery. Let's cut a piece. Let's get a reasonably sized piece so we can space it forward or back as we see fit. What am I missing? Shocks or Dravtex, because the Dravtex just recently came off of another rig as they proved to be about X number of millimeters too long for that build. We do not ordinarily remove Dravtex from service, and there is a drawer in the shock drawers behind me that does indeed say Dravtex on it, but it tends to be nothing more than a holding pattern before that shock moves on to another vehicle. These are 95s, and that vehicle was fitted with 85s, so the 95s were what I would classify as significantly too long. I loosely weighed this thing. It has not been on the scales. I do not tend to put it on the scales to get the full weight distribution and get CG numbers before a ghost ride, because perhaps not inevitably or invariably, but very close to those points, changes will be made. Changes to geometry, changes to componentry. Will the tusk be the tire? Will this layout be the layout? Are the shocks too soft? Are the inserts too soft? This is the whole point of the ghost ride. Like, I've got all the wires zip tied together in a chunky bundle over there because there's no point in resoldering the motor to clean that wire up. There's no point in cutting those wires shorter because we don't know if that motor is going to do the job. Is 2000 kV too much? Is 2000 kV not enough? We could easily have run this on 4S and could still easily run it on 4S as we're running a receiver-powered servo. He doesn't have a name yet. That name will come. They tend to kind of choose their own names. This battery has very minimal charge in it, but it will be enough to make it move. The other battery has 48% charge on it. Did I remember to charge it before I turned on the camera? You know, unquestionably, that I did not. Also, the creep has a little bit taken off right here, basically to follow the angle of the kick skid, and I took a little bit right off here because when you pay $20 for a body, sometimes it has a crease in it, and sometimes there's a little rip that goes right up here into the body. You can't leave the rip. You got to cut that rip off, otherwise rip propagate. 2 little holes in the hood there, 2 holes in the back. This will have Gorilla Tape. Oh, crankle there too. Maybe in shipping. We'll have Gorilla Tape or T-Rex tape across here on the back because that amount of space is a little bit less than what I would actually prefer. This switch got eaten by a spur gear at one point, and I soldered it back together, and it appears to still work. Now, these axles were donations to the Canyon. I don't know if they have underdrive or overdrive gears in them. We are going to operate from the assumption that they don't. Did you hear that delightful little of J Concepts green peeling off the bench? When I did a loose weighing on this, it was 2,300 grams. 5¼ pounds plus the battery. The battery took it to 5.4. So we're right about 5.4 pounds. I did add this. So, oh, that was on another set of wheels. Also, do you know what we have? We have a scale. And then we have a foam block that we can put on the scale. And then we can do this. We can do this. And I can tell you what this thing weighs in grams and pounds. Let's start in the international units. And then we'll move to the freedom units. 2469. No body. 25.44 with the body. So that's what, 75 grams for the body. Figure probably another 10 grams for paint. So we'll be at 25.55, give or take. Oh, in the Freedom units, 5.6 pounds. That is appropriate. How did we get to 5.6 pounds? We've got the big old Mias weights on the front, brass, and we've got the big old Mias weights in the rear. That is it for added weight, but that is genuinely probably between 300 and 400 grams. Oh, and is it brass diff covers both ends? Yes, it is. Probably closer to 400 grams of brass down below. I'm not going to fitz or futz with that brass because that brass is all unsprung, meaning it's going to help that ratio. Shocks are in a guesstimated position where they should be pretty strongly okay. Damping feels excellent. We've got, I would honestly like it even a little bit slower, but it does feel, it feels closer to there than not. Because the back of the body is so flimsy, you gotta kind of reach up and, again, if you paid $75 for some Lexan and it had a back wall that thin, rage! Regular everyday price on a J Concepts Creeper cab is $25. This one's been hanging in a bag for some amount of time now, and it was $20. $20 for a cab. Let's be fair. Let's be truthful and honest. It's what they should all cost. Selling a body this size for $40 or $50 or $60 is a little amp action. I'm trying to watch the wheel speed. Yeah, it looks like 0-0. So we're going on 0-0. And the thing is, if the geometry is perfect, might not be. If the inserts are perfect, might not be. That's a decent amount of bag. If the tires agree with the geometry and the weight and the PSI that's being presented to them and all of those things, then you can get away with no underdrive, overdrive. We have more than one rig here that is an even 50-50 split at either end. I tend to prefer about 20%, and adding 20% to a Mias nylon is not a problem. He's got a fun little noise. That's a decent amount of flex as well. Articulation. Yeah, the body's real amp. Without the body, Outrunners don't have to be loud, folks. Most of the... Oh, yes. I should point out for those who were not present for the live stream, I took that gearbox out of a bag and I put it in the vehicle. Did not add a speck of grease. Will we regret that later? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that we're going to have to correct and adjust almost inevitably. How grippy is EVA foam? It's pretty grippy. But what am I doing? What are you doing? Watch what I'm looking at. We'll try to present it up to camera a little bit better. Watch the face of the tire. Okay, we're going to come up. We're going to get right here. Okay. I get just that deflection and watch it bag over. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You know, when you see it move like that, and the first thought is, like the first thought, when I see it sitting on the bench, I go, That looks like a little bit of in the territory of overcompliance. Compliance is kind of key. Better too soft than too firm when we're talking about inserts, because compliance only becomes an issue when it's really overwhelming to where it's harming your steering, it's compromising your forward drive. This is a set of 3D printed inserts that were sent in. They are super softs in the front and softs in the rear, and they feel very close. Honestly, based on the density of these, and I am not averse to mixing sets around, I would say from the bench, softs in the front and then one step firmer, like a medium in the rear. But this is why we ghost ride. We take them out just like this. As you can see, these tusks have never touched the ground. They just came out of the bag, had their holes punched. I built them up black and silver, black and silver, black and silver, because the entirety of this vehicle, except for the little pops of golden color on the shock shafts and the brass, are black and silver. And I am cautiously optimistic because I've noticed a thing when during the build I watched running this with no wheels and tires on it. When you would throttle it up, the whole chassis would go, it would go and squat down. I'm okay with that. Also, the ability to run a body that low, like we are. Look at the depth of the notches in the front grille. We're down low. Do you see? I have cut none of the fender off to the point where we've even left the vertical part of the fender, which really does help strengthen up the body. So we will listen for the pirate ship noises. I think it's just we're gonna get a little bit of pop, 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 pop in some spots, but not too bad. Again, as I said, I am cautious in my optimism, but overall, they went together well. The fitments of the parts is good. We don't, right when the shock bottoms out, the links touch the bed. And this doesn't matter, only this matters. And we are articulate, almost equally front and rear. Oh, the front feels amazing. Very good. It's tidy. 5.6 pounds is kind of right in this, at least for where we are, like a bit of a sweet spot. That 5.5 pound area, between 5.5 and 6.5 pounds, I know that's a decent amount of range. We're talking about 400 and some odd grams of space. That 400 grams odds of space is pretty good. It's not too picky about tire, nor insert, nor power plant. What I am curious about is like, that seems a little zazzy, but it is a Rhino V80. So, while we don't want to do it too much, I might as well take the body. 62%. We got a minute or two. While I don't want to stay in sign mode for a particularly extended period of time, because that's where heat comes from. Rhino and the Dynamic. There we go. Rhino and the Dynamic. This is 13% throttle set on the cruise control. I can start to institute a little bit of cog to it if I grab it with my hand. 13% throttle again. I gotta hold the mat. I'll push the mat out of the way. Look at that back tire. Look at that back tire. Oh! I mean, right? Did you watch that corner dive? Did the little dive towards the tire? If you watch your bumper dive towards the tire that's rising, and you don't have something bound up. This is not a super grippy surface. It's a work mat. You're doing A-okay. I'm hoping that it will translate to the rocks. You know what I'm assuming? I'm assuming that you're all kind people and good-hearted, and that you are hoping for good performance as well. We want them all to be great. Sometimes they're not. This one, almost everything about it makes me say, hey. And aside from the shocks, ignore the servo. Aside from the add-on bits, okay? When we talk about links, chassis rails, axles, gearbox, the parts that would form a slider, when we think about those pieces, we're sticking pretty economical. It's a $20 gearbox. The links are almost exclusively, I want to say they are exclusively Amazon sourced. Mias nylon axles are $82, and there's about $50 in brass on them. That could easily be a blue case, but I had it in a drawer. Why not put it on a rig? So we're in that absolute zone, cost-wise, that it costs to do a build. Like, if you're going to make a build and you're going to put some quality of life parts and pieces on it, you're looking at that like $600 area to build a rig up. You know, you can build it for less, and almost inevitably, the inevitability, it circles back around. Almost inevitably, you're going to change to a better servo, a better radio, a better speed control, a better set of tires, what have you. There are luxury items. You don't need to put deluxe shocks on there. I have deluxe shocks on, like, there might be 6 or 7 vehicles on deluxe here out of 50 plus. I did mention it came from the workbench 60. Now, some of the vehicles no longer live here. I get the feeling this guy is going to nestle right in comfortably into the Class 2 crew here that regularly and weekly compete against one another. He'll get a spot on the Wheels of Fate, and maybe he'll get spun in real soon and do a cabs competition with his brethren. But for today, Ghost Ride. That is where we try to scratch up the overspray mask as little as possible. But if you don't end up upside down in your Ghost Ride, are you even Ghost Riding? So follow me, if you will, out to the rocks as the black and silver gentleman and I head out there, and a little bit of titanium, head out onto the rocks to see how good did we guess it together. Rolling onto the course in the daytime, although the sun is just barely up. The ants. Thermocells don't work on it. Nothing works on ants. All right. The quick recap. Mias nylons. We've got brass front and rear. Brand new, fresh out of the bag, J Concepts Tusk 475. No sorts of weights in the wheels. Very soft 3D printed inserts. Rhino V80. Furatech Dynamic 380 2000 kV. No due diligence, meaning didn't check the grease level in the portals, didn't add any grease to the weird vertical gearbox. Reefs 500 up front. Should just do fine on what is provided. If nothing else, here's what we would like to do. We've had a pretty recent run of good fortune in the area of Ghost Rides, and I feel like that's going to continue, because just from what I saw on the bench, the way this thing likes to put its nose down, I was like, oh, I have positive feelings. The takeaway on the day, what we're hoping for, I want to get real high on that front side, real nice, is the most recent Ghost Ride relative to this one. There are gouges in the roof from sliding it upside down that I can put my fingernail into. So we're going to make an effort to avoid that, because the $20 creep body is not as thick as the body that we were roof sliding. I'm getting almost no push from the front end. That's over the bean. Over the little bean. Okay, let's see straight over. This is a perfect exhibition right here of when I talk about, oh, but they need time to break in. Tires get better when they break in. Every tire gets better when it breaks in. If your tire doesn't do this fresh out of the bag, and you know what? For a motor that size, with no adjustments to the ESC, that drag brake is not bad. We can kind of catch it. Real slow power delivery out of that 2000. So right where that front tire is, right side front, it's just vertical. Once we get across that, we get up to that rock right here, the beam. And then, is there any hesitation as we pass over it? No. This is why, in my experience, my experience-based estimation, the Tusk is the measuring stick against which all others must inevitably be compared. We keep testing and we keep trialing and we keep trying to figure it out because we want them all to be good. We want to see something new. Oh yeah. The forward drive feels real nice. Now, it is 3D printed inserts in a Tusk. That's going to get you to a distance. Right? We've got to see what we can do. When I'm doing power chip tests. We get a little body roll. I think the click is actually, it's not coming from the back of that fender flare. It's coming from the front of it, right at the very point where there's the part that's angled down. We might just clip a little bit of that off. I want to cut the absolute minimum amount. I'm not seeing even micro hesitations. So while the Tusk is, at the very least, my benchmark, there is no ultimate tire. There's no tire that's going to be the absolute best on every vehicle. Strength of the Tusk being, it's kind of the best on the most things. We wait until Station 2 to give you the numbers. Looks like 65, 16, and then 90? A little bit over 90. Let's say 92% humidity right now. Luckily for everyone involved, look at it press. Watch it press. This is the Kitt Krawler stuff right here. We get right there. Did you see that? Did you see it? Look with your eyes. We get right here. Watch the near side of the nose. Got a little pop there at the back of the fender. Body rises, but look at that tire in the front. It just doesn't lift. It gets pushed down. I am a step removed from the blind squirrel. That being, many times when I'm cutting a rail, we're making it fit. I go experientially, right? I know where a shock position and a link position has served me well in the past, and sometimes we opt to replicate that, and sometimes I go flying off in whatever direction. When I run other chassis, I can tell pretty quickly if somebody did their homework and if somebody didn't. Like, I feel that there were iterations in the past of this because I did what we do here. I threw it together, no due diligence, no lift in the front end. Oh, it's nice. It's real nice. Pulled the shocks out of a drawer. Felt like they could maybe have a bit more damping to them. On the bench, the inserts feel really overly soft. Endpoints are set for ultimate conservative. I have not trimmed the travel stops, nothing. Like due diligence, zero. Full-blown ghost ride. The Tusk seems like it was a pretty good choice. I looked at the rack and I said, what have we got? During the live stream, there was a set of KLRs on the Halos, air downs, and ultra air down? Whatever the super, super soft ones are. I threw those on there just because they were mounted on rims, and I was like, I don't know, that looks pretty good. That's what prompted me to assemble these wheels in the interim. Oh, it's a goer. It's a goer. It needs things. It needs, there's a little bit of fastener optimization. There's a lot of bit of greasing. And also, I want you to remember, because I myself had forgotten, no underdrive, no overdrive. Did I order the gears? Yes. Is there every chance that we won't need those gears? After seeing this, I would say also yes. Is there a spot to me where the lack of torque differential is exhibited? Yes. Steering. The turn circle feels, now, again, as I mentioned, no trimming, no fine point adjustment on the end points to make sure that we're getting all of it. They are definitely set conservatively. But at the same time, if you put 20% overdrive or underdrive or some split of the two in a vehicle, get off of me, ants. It's going to turn sharper. Okay, there we get the rise. Yeah, it's nice. I'm staying as in that hole as I can. What if I, ooh, doesn't like that. Oh, look at that. Oh, you got to get one in. Oh, yeah. Okay. When we go to self-right, it's the little, there aren't even any properly tanned out bits when we're like the tire is rubbing. There's some little spots. Usually in a ghost ride, we get enough rubbing, we get enough pirate ship to know where we need to do a little trim and sand and filing. Yeah. We get into that spot. It's so stable through the middle. And then we get that load. When we get that load on the back, this is a little bit of gear stuff and a lot of bit of tire stuff. The insert, we've got so much, we have a surplus of forward drive. If memory serves, I said on the bench that we could probably go with soft in the front, medium in the rear, and I put Sufers soft in the front and soft in the rear. We're probably a little heavy for the rear rate. The rear needs to go up a rate, and if we're going to go up a rate in the rear, we might as well go up in the front. The Geo is doing all it can. Could we use more link separation in the rear? I don't know. That fall right there, it's all low side insert just squidging over. Yes, all the way. This is, of course, a great emphasis of what I have said many times in the past, where are things going wonderfully? Do they feel like they're going too well? Well, take both hands, grab that rug, and snatch it right out from under your own feet. Head on over to the side hill and make it look like the vehicle can't do the things. But what I'm watching is the mid performance. I'm watching it through the middle. I'm watching how it meets the transition right here. Every time I press that there, I'm watching the low side tires just collapse. So I think what I'm doing a little bit is I'm trying to catch the mystery and the majesty of what was installed in the middle school desk, where we put the softest imaginable insert into a vehicle. We're trying to get it to do it again. And the thing is, the softest imaginable insert doesn't work 95% of the time. I don't know if I can potentially emphasize enough that all choices are compromise. If pure forward drive is like right there, I mean, we should just, there's a little over bag. So I can use a little bit of the front. Okay, it's the over bag. It's over bag all the way. Pure forward drive is going to be as baggy as you can get a tire and still manage forward movement. Like as soft as you can go. It's like low PSI in a pneumatic tire. The lower the PSI, the more absolute traction you're going to have. Now, how does that super low PSI help you in every other situation? Oh, it absolutely doesn't. It's absolutely worse than everything else. So ordinarily, I would do a little button hook there, and we would swing around and come back down. We would roll down the face of Undertaker, guaranteed, because those low sides, even being 3D printed, would collapse. I feel like this guy might be the first ever Canyon custom 3D combo. I think we might end up with well, I was going to say the inserts. We might end up just taking the rear tires, putting them on the front, unmounting the fronts, putting Canyon custom softs in them and putting them in the rear. I think that might be that might be where the ticket is. Because we've experienced in the past on other vehicles, other platforms, other accretions, assemblies, builds, whatever you call them. We take a bunch of parts, we throw them all together and we see what we get. We've had too much stability. We've had too much of this, too little of that. This has so much forward drive, and much of that is geometry. The shocks are, they're drive techs, so they're going to do the job. They feel amazing. These were these Zorana's shocks? These might have been Zorana's shocks. These might have been the GFO's shocks. We had a spate of cabs-derived discoveries where we found out, that shock is too long for that vehicle. And you literally put a shock on that's 5 millimeters or 10 millimeters shorter, and it just transforms the vehicle in its entirety. This guy, you could definitely, look at the rear shock. Wait, I'm sorry. Look at the rear shock. Right in the middle. Right in the middle. So these are 95s. So if you had a 90, you'd be right in the middle, lower hole. We're right in the middle, upper hole. We have some adjustability here in the rear, and you could really manipulate the performance of the chassis by the length of the shock and the position of that shock, because the more the shock is laid down, the more articulation it's going to give you. Do I feel like I need more articulation here? I do not. The shock towers are well thought out because we have two distinctly different altitudes on those shock towers where the shock mounts. We have a decent rear angle. We have a decent front angle, apparently above decent. I think the front is a little bit more optimized, honestly, to like a 90 millimeter shock. So it might run a split 90-95 or 90-90, but if you have the option to mount 95 millimeter drive techs on your vehicle, you do that. It's getting quieter too. The Kitt Krawler KKV1 is the kind of build we like around here because it's well thought out, and that helps. That helps a lot. And perhaps more importantly, viewing it from the Canyon terms and the Canyon philosophy, it allowed us to build it weird. Almost everything that's on there, and this is not a slight, this is the opposite of that. I want to say, is it going to poke sky here? A little 380, wrap it. It does act pretty nimble. I think baby steps. I think baby steps are the way to go. Like, I might throw in 833 in the rear. Just try it with 10%. Go from there. I think the pinion choice is right. Oh, this is not a slight. We dug bins and we picked out pieces. The gearbox that we had not been able to find anything to put it in. The motor that we had not been able to find anything to put it in. Built those rims up out of the rim drawer. Just threw stuff together. Threw it at it to see what would stick. And I'm pretty confident in saying it stuck. Will we most likely end up on 20%? I would say yes, if just for a little bit better balance, a little bit better turning circle. In terms of the articulation and the drive feel, we're near net some good. Like we're doing really well. That gets that load right there. Right there, some underdrive would be appreciated. Can I get through? Yeah, right there. The rear is doing too much work. It's a little tricky to manipulate it with throttle because we don't have that split. Approach is real good. Departure is, of course, excellent. Breakover, quite good. Clearance is fantastic. The last time I had to bend down to flip it over, that bottom was pristine. I'm assuming from here it might have a scratch or two on it, but we'll find out in a moment. Where's the drop? Where's the drop? I have an 1800. I was going to say had, but it still exists. We see it, right? Like, get out of my eyes. You see what's happening. That rear has got a lot of load, a lot of side load. And we've got big collapse going, and it just, if we go real slow, maybe it won't get enough velocity in it to poke sky. There you go. There is absolutely such a thing as too much of a good thing. And it's a balancing act for sure. This thing is going to be this guy. Well, KKV1 over here is going to be a problem because we jumped from bag of parts to 5% tune really fast. I think insert is the biggest one, and then check on. There's this temptation to throw an 1800 in it, to throw like a Rhino 1800, or a Rhino 1470, and drop a little baby 4S in there. I don't know. This is part and parcel with how things are done around here. Are things going well? Well, start messing with it. Start messing with it. The immediates, okay? Figure out what color to paint it. That's like number one. Basically, take it about 70% of the way apart. Turn it into a slider because we need to pull the gearbox and actually put grease in it. We need to pull the covers, the diff covers, all of that. So we need to pull all of that off. Also, I don't know how much grease is in there. In terms of adding stuff to the vehicle, I don't see anything. I don't see adding anything. Part of me would say, well, check on what it looks like if you pull the rear portal weights and just put the covers back on. But I never noticed those rear weights making for weirdness. Like, if the rear weights were making for weirdness, the front end would be a lot more sky pokey. Like, it would keep reaching up, and it really doesn't. Just helps keep that PSI down. Now, it is making the inserts act a little bit softer. It's got that weight driving directly down on them. But let's be honest, fair, and truthful. It's a whole lot easier to just change an insert to match the weight of the axle. Let's not remove unsprung weight just to give the inserts an easier job, because we can put those inserts in something else easily. Matching the insert to the vehicle is time consuming. Oh, yeah, that's good. I'm waiting for it. I mentioned it in the last. I'll mention it here again. We are absolutely waiting for that other shoe to drop, because we have had too many certainly above average ghost rides in recent memory. We've been doing really well. I cut the body real close to where it needs to be cut. We'll do a double. We'll do a belly shot and we'll do a drive out of frame. And that is how we will close this installment of this. Yeah. Guys, we've got a little scuff on the front pumpkin. Look at that. My buddy was like, should we round that? And I was like, probably, but maybe the rocks will do it. Absolutely nothing. And then in the back, look how clean that is. Little edge on the sliders. Have we even been out here? It is net some good. Let's just say it. It's net some good, because any issues, it's all correctable. This is probably, everything here is likely correctable with stuff already in the building. And then, of course, there's the tinkering. I have a set of custom softs that I can throw in the rears right now. So you'll see him again soon. And maybe the next time you see this guy, who still is a horse without a name, perhaps the next time you see him, he'll even be painted, because I can paint a J-Concepts creep in as little as 15 minutes. It's pretty great. We'll reinforce the back wall with a little bit of tape. We'll do a little trimming on the fenders. We'll get this guy ready to go on the wheels and take his place in the cabs competition. And I hope you come back to see that. I hope you come back to see that and all of the other things. And in between now and then, I would love for you, one and all, to do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We will see you again here from the canyon. You know what? I put up a Dyna trap. Baby, there ain't nothing out here but ants. I didn't have to swat a single... Wait. You son of a bitch. Had to prove me wrong. Right here in the outro, the first mosquito I saw, he was like, doo-doo-doo-doo. He's still here. I missed him. No, I'm not going to wait for him. I'm going to see you all next time. I said we were going to drive out of frame, and we're going to deliver on that promise. We'll see you in the next one, everybody. I think we did us, proverbially, us and the Kitt Krawler guy. I think we all did pretty well.